From Oshawa.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Education. This government continues to deny children with autism vital therapy while also cutting frontline education workers who help children succeed. Parents at the Toronto Catholic Board are concerned as the board is being forced to eliminate 56 education assistants. This government has cut over $500,000 to that board this year, making the problem worse. In Windsor, the public board continually faces a shortfall of nearly $5 million in special education funding. Government cuts to education leave school boards scrambling to fill gaps in service. Will this Minister of Education admit that forcing school boards to make decisions based on dollars and deficits is leaving students with exceptional needs behind?
Thank you. Minister of Education.
Yes, thank you very much, and I'm pleased to respond to the questions about funding for school boards, but I think we do need to focus on some of the facts. So, for example, from the Windsor Essex, the Greater Essex School Board in Windsor, their enrollment has gone down this year, and by the board's own calculation, they have a $700,000 decrease in
Order.
because their enrollment dropped. By the board's own calculation, they have 6,000 unutilized spaces. That is 6,000 seats. It's actually costing them $6 million a year to maintain those 6,000 unused seats. So the idea that we've cut spec ed funding just isn't true. What has been cut is enrollment-based funding.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Back to the Minister of Education. Ontario families know that when $8 million is cut from special education funding across 25 school boards and $1 billion in dedicated education funding goes unused over the past 3 years, their children are not a priority. At the Upper Grand District School Board, over $500,000 in cuts mean that the amount of time that education assistants can spend with students will be reduced. In Halton, the projected cumulative impact of special education cuts is $18.5 million over 4 years. Perhaps this minister can focus on facts and stop manipulating them. September is coming. Thousands of students with autism will enter schools that do not have the resources to meet their needs. Speaker, why is this government balancing the books on the backs of students with special needs?
Minister.
So let's talk a little bit about special education funding. Since 2003, we have actually increased special education funding by 70%. We have increased it from $1.14 billion to $2.76 billion. We have not cut special education funding. That is one of the areas which has actually gone up most quickly, is special education funding. She talked about the Toronto Catholic District School Board. It's had an increase of $3.3 million in special education funding. So we know that the idea that this party opposite promulgates that we're going around recklessly cutting spec ed funding is just not true. And what I can say about the issue of autism is that we actually have a program called Connections, which when children are coming off of IBI treatment, if they come to the school board.